In this video, I'm going to tell you how to get max stats gear in Hogwarts Legacy. Subscribe to the Linus Wilson channel. We give you the secrets to crush Hogwarts Legacy. So, we're going to tell you about, if you got level 40, what are the max stats gear and how do you get it so that you can do the most damage, take the least damage, etc. Alright, so first you have to get to level 40, and there's a lot of misconceptions about getting to level 40, that you need to farm arenas. That's not true. A very small percentage of the XP that you get is actually from combat challenges, and you only get XP from challenges, and your challenges tab in your field guide is what they call it, but it's in your menus. And so once you've hit maximum on each thing on the field guide and 100% it, then you're not going to get any more XP. So how do you get to level 40? You do every quest, every side quest, every treasure quest. Do all the combat challenges. So I think a lot of people maybe are probably going to be behind on the dueling feats. That was one of the later combat challenges I did, although the last one I got was actually the high level enemies. And then for me to get to level 40, I was not able to find the balloons. That seems impossible, but yes, I was having trouble finding the balloons. So one tip that I'm going to have for you is that you need to zoom out on the map. Completely zoom out on the map, and then it'll show you each one of the regions. If you completely zoom out on the map, and it will show you the ancient magic spots. It'll show you the collection chests. Collection does not affect XP, but it affects whether you get the platinum or get all the achievements. And it will tell you how many balloons you've got in a region, so you can know which region at least. So there's probably about, 8 regions or something. And then that'll allow you to get all these exploration challenges a little bit quicker by zooming out on the map. And nobody explained that to me, but I guess a lot of people knew that. Alright, now, once you hit level 40, you can get the top level gear. The top level gear is 114. That it either does damage 114 or defense 114. So top level stats are 4,000 health, 450 damage, 450 defense. Now, defense doesn't matter as much as damage, but it matters. So you want to get 114 level gear, legendary gear, because the non-legendary gear is not going to come close to 114. And then you're going to upgrade it in your loom, and you're going to put on a level 3 trait, such as herbology, which I think is the best trait, but maybe concentration or something like that increases your spell damage. So with top level stats, I'm doing 12, almost 12,000 damage with the cabbages. So the first cabbage that bites them, and each time I throw a cabbage, I throw 2 cabbages. The first cabbage that bites a troll is going to do 12,000 damage nearly with top level stats. And all the stats scale based on your damage level, which is a function of the gear that you're wearing. And so it's what matters is not the level of your gear, but it is either the damage stat or the defensive stat, and 114 is the highest. Now, if you were at level 39, 112 would be the highest. If you were 138, 110 would be the highest. So it goes down by 10. But there's also a big range, right? So there's a big range. So it's a range of about 18 points. So the lowest level 40 gear at legendary I could find was 97, and trust me, I looked a lot, and the highest level was 114. So what you want to do is that, the best, if you have none of the top level gear, you have none of the 114 gear, you want to go to Gladrags Wizardswear in Hogsmeade. And what you want to do is you want to go in there and look at his inventory. If he's got 114 stuff, then buy it. Legendary 114, buy all that you can find. If he doesn't, don't buy anything. Now, an intermediate strategy, if you're not totally committed to this, because this could take hours, would be to say, okay, if it increases my either damage stat, that is, it has a green arrow, then buy it. If it has a red arrow, don't buy it. It's very simple, very easy. Because you can generate unlimited amounts of money once you have the vivarium, and by the time that you get to level 40, you have had the vivarium for a long time, and you can farm those magical beasts to your heart's content really easily and get 120 for each one of the magical beasts, no matter how easy they are to farm. So you should not have money problems, and spending $500 for a piece of legendary gear, let alone a 114 piece of legendary gear, should not be a problem for you. So what I found was it was about 3 to 4 legendary pieces would be the average or median, but the range that I saw was something between 0 and 10 legendary pieces he'd have. Each legendary piece could have 1 of 18 stats, right? So your odds of getting a legendary piece of 114 is like 1 in 5 when you start out this, when you only have none and you have 6 items to gear up with. But it goes down below 5%, I think, when you get to only 2 pieces that you need. So if you've got 4 pieces, so the longer that you're kind of resetting his inventory to get these legendary pieces, the harder it gets. Now, how do you reset his inventory? Simply you meditate for 2.5 days. That is 5 times you meditate, and he'll refresh his inventory, and his inventory will be totally different, totally random. I believe this is a discrete uniform distribution here. I don't think they're doing anything fancy here. You know, I've heard people assert that it took them as little as 20 minutes to get 6 pieces. One person says an hour. I think to get 6 pieces from Gladrags, you should expect more than an hour, depending on how fast you are advancing time. But you're going to get a lot of, like, the last piece you should expect to have to advance time 20 times. That is, advance time 5 times, 20 times. Look at his inventory 20 times before you get a piece. So the strategy that I employed was that I wanted to get 4 pieces out of Gladrags, and the last 2 pieces I was going to get out of legendary chests. So you can save scum legendary chests. And so how do you do that is that you have a legendary chest. They're obvious. They have a specific look to them. They're kind of blue. They got this ornate pattern. They always drop legendaries. Do not open them. Wait until level 40. Save 2 back, 1 back. And once you get those first 4 or 5 pieces from Gladrags, the 5th or 6th piece, then we're going to save scum the legendary chest. And so I'm using the ones that were part of the like Hogwarts Secrets challenge, because that I did that relatively late in the game, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to open these chests. I'll know exactly where they are. I'll come back to them. So, like, for a legendary chest that's within a main quest mission, you probably don't want to save scum that. You want to wait. You don't want to wait with that one. You would open that one. But if you have one that you can access at any time, then you might want to save it back. There's several legendary chests in Hogsmeade, but I'd opened them up a long time ago. And so you're only going to get 1 piece. So what do you do is, for that, you save before you open it. You do a manual save. Very important to do a manual save. And then open it, see if it's the item you want. So for me, I think I needed a hand item and a face item. Or maybe, no, it was a hand item and a body item, right? So a hand item and a body item. And so I was looking for that initially on the first legendary chest that I was looking at until I got a hand item or a body item. Then it would give me, late in the, they've tried to discourage save scumming by making you go to the room of requirement and identifying items. So then you would like fast travel to room of requirement. So before you do this save, you want to set up your room requirement so that your identification desk is right where you fast travel into. So you don't have to walk across the room, because your room of requirement by the end of the game is going to be really big. So I had my desk like way in the back, and I had to move it way to the front so that this was the most efficient as possible. So I spent the least amount of time save scumming the legendary chest. And so when you identify it, either it's going to give you a green up arrow and you're at 114, or it's not at 114, it's at 113 or below, and you're going to be like, okay, redo it. So you just reload your manual save. You'll be right next to the chest. You open it up until you find the item that you don't have at 114. Go to the room of requirement, identify it. If it's less than 114, go back. If it's at 114, then go to the next chest. So if you're doing it with 2 chests, the last 2 items, then once you find the 114 item in one chest, then go to the new chest, do a manual save right before that chest, and then you save scum it until you get the item, the type of item that you need, right? Because there's 6 different clothing items, and if you've already got 5 114s, there's one that you don't need. So I think in my case it was maybe a hand item. I forget, it was either a hand or body item. And then you go to the identification desk until you identify it as a 114 item. If you don't identify it as a 114 item, then reload that save. Now, I found that the save scumming also tends to crash a little bit. Do not despair, because it's not a big deal. Just restart your console, close whatever it takes to close out the game and like re-up the game, because you have that manual save, and that's where you want to be anyways. So if it crashes like before you do, you've not really lost anything, because that you don't want to progress until you find that 114 item. And so yeah, so that's how you get the top level stat gear. It's not my favorite way to do that. I like the Witcher method better, by like doing interesting quests to get top level Witcher gear, and it's not random, and you just, but this is the way you do it. Now, obviously, do you need to have top level gear to succeed in Hogwarts Legacy? Absolutely not. I played the entire game on normal difficulty. Probably should have moved it to hard difficulty. I'm one-shotting all the enemies, even before I got Avada Kedavra, or whatever that is, that unforgivable spell which kills everybody instantly. I was still killing everybody instantly with the plants, because I had Herbology 3 for much of my playthrough. And how do you get these traits? How do you get these top level traits? You get the traits by going to bandit camps and opening that special trait chest. And probably concentration, Herbology 3 are probably maybe the 2 best. There may be one that is somewhat almost as close as good as those 2, but they're quite good. And I think the other thing is that you're probably saying, oh well, why does it matter to get a 1 point? Each point adds like 80 points of damage, right? So there's this nice blog on Reddit by Blahable, right? Blahable, and he goes through all the damage stats based on all items, and he's estimating that every 1 point of damage that you get, so you go from 449 damage to 450 damage, that's increasing your damage by 80 points. So 1 point is not 1 point, 1 point is 80 points. So it is valuable. That is, if the game were not so easy, but it is a pretty easy game, especially at the end game. So I'm not saying that this is like a rational thing to do, and that you should definitely do this because you need this to beat the game. Because number one, you get to level 40, you've already beat the game. You're just really only working on the platinum or something, or getting all the achievements. So that's one thing. But also, if you got to the end of the game and you've got into the dark arts, then you have Avada Kedavra, which is like doing 25,000 damage or something, or 100,000 damage or whatever. It's one shot killing everybody in the game. The only problem is the cooldown with that. So just take focus potions and then you're golden with that. So I'm not saying that this is the rational thing to do. I'm just saying that it can be done. This is how you get max stats. Other games have handled this differently. I don't really like the random stats system that they have in this game, but it's the glitch we have, and we're going to exploit it. Okay, so one other thing that I probably should talk about is now you want to upgrade all this gear. So you've got offensive gear and defensive gear that's 114. So if you have 114 offensive gear, then you're going to upgrade it 36 points of defensive. And if you have defensive gear, you're going to upgrade it 36 points of offensive. And then you're going to put some level 3 traits on it on the loom. And that's how you get the 450, 450, is that you've upgraded to the max level. So you're using your vivarium right? You're using your beast parts by the time you get to level 40, you should have access to the Phoenix, right? Because you did the Phoenix quest, because you did all the side quests, and you get the Graph Horn in the main quests, and you've had access since you got the knapsack to all the other animals, and you should have been farming them and putting them in your vivarium, and then you've been petting them, you've been brushing them and feeding them and taking their beast supplies so you could do upgrades. So, I personally probably, once I got the vivarium, I was upgrading my gear every few levels or something, but it became a lot harder, as time went on. If you're below level 40, I would say that keep an eye out for higher quality gear that is not your level yet, but is in the inventory of Gladrags. So you go back to Gladrags, and if they got some higher stat gear that is of a higher level than you can wear at the moment, buy that, because it's not going to be there the next time you're there, and so you can do that upgrade as soon without resetting time at Gladrags, which is really time consuming. So that'll just kind of improve your stats over time, but definitely Gladrags is totally worth it to pay $500 or 500 gold galleons for each piece, especially after you get Alamora, and so you're opening all these chests, and you also have access to the Puffkin's dens, where it's just so easy to get 1,000 galleons in a couple minutes. So you go to the Puffkin's dens and you sell them. And I got another video about how you can get Phoenix feathers before you get late into the game, but if you're at level 40, you've got the Phoenix, you've got the Graph Horn, just put them in your vivarium and farm them, and you'll be golden. Subscribe to the Linus Wilson channel. We give you the secrets to crush Hogwarts Legacy. Good luck, witches and wizards.